The Young and the Restless spoilers Monday, full episodes December 9th, 2024. The tension builds, the unraveling of trust and deception. As the days in Genoa City grew darker, the tension between the key players, Jordan, Ian, Victor, and the rest of the Newmans, began to reach its boiling point. Ian Ward's sudden defiance of Jordan's authority and his decision to appear before the Newman family was a bold move, one that immediately sent shockwaves through the already fragile alliances. It wasn't just a moment of audacity, it was a declaration of war. Ian, as always, refused to be controlled. He saw himself as a master of his own destiny, someone who wouldn't bow to anyone's will, not even Jordan's. And his reckless, albeit calculated appearance before the Newmans was a strategic move aimed at making a statement. The words he spoke, "The war is about to begin," sounded more like a challenge than a prophecy. His presence before the family had clearly unsettled them, but it had the opposite effect on Victor Newman. Rather than simply intimidate the powerful patriarch, it made him even more cautious and alert. Victor had been on high alert for weeks, but Ian's appearance only pushed him to tighten his grip on everything around him. It also threw a wrench into the plans Jordan had meticulously laid out, leaving them more exposed than they had been before. Jordan's frustration, a game of control. Jordan was furious with Ian. She had made it clear time and again that the operation had to be subtle, calculated, and, above all, controlled. Ian, however, had his own agenda, one that didn't fit within the neatly constructed boundaries Jordan had set. His unpredictability was both a strength and a weakness. While it kept everyone on edge, it also jeopardized the carefully plotted schemes. Jordan could barely hide her anger as she seethed over Ian's rebellion. This was the nature of Ian Ward, however. He had never been one to follow anyone's orders. His method had always been to disrupt, to challenge, to make his own rules as he went along. In the end, Jordan had little choice but to accept that Ian would continue to be a loose cannon in this deadly game, for better or for worse. The shocking discovery: poison in Sharon's medicine. As the chaos around them deepened, a startling discovery rocked Genoa City to its core. The test results for Sharon's medication had come back, revealing that the drugs she had been prescribed contained dangerous levels of toxins. This wasn't just a simple mistake or negligence. It was a deliberate attempt on her life. The news spread like wildfire through the town, sending fear into the hearts of everyone who had been touched by Sharon's plight. People whispered about who could be behind such a heinous act, but no one could figure out the true culprit. Despite the sinister circumstances, Jordan and Ian both knew that poisoning Sharon in this manner wasn't their first choice. If they truly wanted Sharon dead, they wouldn't have gone to such lengths. They could have simply taken a more direct approach, something far more lethal. Shooting her in broad daylight, for instance, would have been much simpler. But this slow, cruel method of poisoning was far more complex and far more insidious. It wasn't just about killing Sharon, it was about making a statement, playing a long game. Neither Jordan nor Ian were the kind of people to kill for the sake of convenience. They enjoyed the thrill of the chase, the suspense of waiting, and the power of controlling their victims from the shadows. Eyes on Phyllis and Lucy, the new suspects. As the investigation into Sharon's poisoning intensified, all eyes began to turn toward Phyllis and Lucy. Both were now regarded as potential suspects, for different reasons, but their connection to the case couldn't be ignored. Phyllis had always been a wild card in the Newman family's intricate web, and her history with Victor made her a prime target for suspicion. But Lucy, the young girl who had been struggling with her own personal demons, was an even more unsettling prospect. Lucy's withdrawal, her silence, and her strange behavior had already raised alarm bells among those close to her. Was it possible that she had been manipulated into playing a role in Sharon's poisoning? Could Jordan have used her, like she had used so many others before, to carry out a twisted plan? Lucy's grief over her mother's death, her desire for reunion, and her fragile mental state made her an ideal candidate for Jordan's psychological manipulation. But what was more disturbing was the growing suspicion that Lucy might have been the one to unknowingly deliver the poison to Sharon. Phyllis, ever the determined and fiery woman, had her own reasons to be under suspicion. Her volatile relationship with the Newman family and her history with both Victor and Nick made her a figure worth watching. Had she been involved in something darker than anyone realized? Had she too been manipulated by Jordan or Ian? The possibilities seemed endless, and the walls were closing in on them all. The war begins. What's at stake? As the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, it was clear that this was more than just a plot to kill Sharon. It was a game of survival, power, and control. Jordan, Ian, and even Victor were playing for stakes higher than anyone could fully comprehend, and with every move they made, they drew closer to a dangerous and inevitable showdown. Nick, Michael, and the rest of the Newmans were now racing against time to uncover the truth, to find out who was truly behind the poisoning, and to stop the dark forces that were conspiring against them. But in a town like Genoa City, where nothing was ever as it seemed, it was difficult to know who to trust. As the tension reached its peak, it became clear that the true battle was only just beginning, and its outcome would change the lives of everyone involved forever. Would Phyllis and Lucy be able to clear their names, or would they find themselves trapped in a web of lies and treachery? Would Victor, with his sharp instincts and unwavering determination, be able to expose the masterminds behind Sharon's poisoning before it was too late? And perhaps most importantly, would Jordan and Ian's twisted game finally come to an end, or would they continue to manipulate and control everyone around them, one victim at a time? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: the war had begun.